the details on all the details, I guess, on the Orlando Magic trade deadline moves.
Right. So we know that they traded Big Vooch to the Bulls.
Yep.
We just
Vooch
talked about that, right? Big Vooch to the Bulls. And then they also traded Al-Farouq Aminu. They basically traded everybody. They traded Aaron Gordon for RJ Hampton and Gary Harris plus a first-round pick. They traded Evan Fournier, who's consistently, whenever I watch the Magic play, be their best perimeter scorer. They traded him to Boston. So they basically traded out what I think most people would agree were the three best players.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with the Magic is that I feel like they've had a lot of young talent that they've drafted, whether it's getting Fultz, whether it's drafting Mohamed Bamba, whether it's Jonathan Isaac when healthy, looking like a guy who could be possibly a defensive player of the year candidate for years to come. And now they get a guy in RJ Hampton, who I know a lot of people loved his talent coming out of high school. Like, now that they've shipped off these three veteran players who are all quite good, but I think they've all kind of hit reasonably close to their ceiling, what do you think of the Orlando Magic for the future, and who are you excited to watch?
You got it, Noel.
Yeah, I'll hop in. So, yeah, in terms of the Magic of the future, I think in terms of who I'm excited to watch, I got to go with the man, the myth, the Mo Bamba. Got a song already. He's just an electric player. And I'm happy for him, too, because I really do think he has potential, but behind Vooch is tough. But I do think he probably learned a good amount, so it's going to be curious. Him in the spotlight. And then other players, I'm really excited for Isaac. I think he's just one of the most unique in all-around players in the game. And if he can stay healthy, he's definitely a game changer. But overall, I just really like the move because I think the Magic knew they weren't going to make any sort of late playoff runs with their roster, especially going up against like a team like the Nets. Like, I just don't think the Magic could ever beat the Nets. So I think it's going to be super cool to see how players develop. But Blake, you got any players in the Magic or people you're excited to watch for the future?
Yeah, I think Mo Bamba's a pretty good player, or just like someone who has the potential to grow where in the past he hasn't. And then one guy that we haven't really, I know is mentioned, but Markelle Fultz, like, I want to see what this dude can be as like the number one option. Like, he's, I think he's injured right now. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but he was playing really well at the beginning of the year. I think it was ACL, right? Or
he tore his ACL, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll proceed as well.
He was playing really well up until that point. I want to see what he can do as the number one. And, since he got over from the 76ers, like, he's gotten a lot of confidence back. His shooting, he's starting to figure it out a little more. And, he looked like a straight baller at Washington, and he didn't, obviously continue that at the Sixers. But I think the overarching thing with the Magic that I like is they're kind of admitting, all right, we're not getting much better than the 7th or 8th seed. Let's not stay in this little area where we have an aged roster. We're going to get a late lottery pick. Instead, we're just going to scrap it, go young. We know our team's not going to be that great. We're just going to rebuild for a couple of years. I would rather my team do that than sit in that like 7 to 8 seed zone where you just go up against the Nets and you're getting waxed 4-0. Or in their case, they go up against the Raptors, win game 1, and then, lose the next 4. So I really do like this for the Magic in just the sense that they're admitting like this past roster wasn't good enough to go far in the playoffs, and they can finally move on. But Vish, what do you got?
Yeah, so you guys named them. I'm most excited to see first Markelle Fultz. I liked Markelle Fultz coming out of Washington. He's got a great handle. He's pretty explosive. He's got a good feel on passing. I mean, his mid-range jump shot is starting to find itself. That 3 ball is still not falling for him. The free throws are still kind of shaky. But, yeah, for the most part, he was getting his confidence back, which is incredible because usually I thought Markelle Fultz's career was done when he got shipped to the Sixers. Just because, I mean, think about it. He was basically our age, and the whole world basically was telling him that he sucked at something he's been very good at for a long time in his life. And, that's pretty rough. I'm really excited to see Jonathan Isaac, too. I was sad that Jonathan Isaac got hurt. I'm someone who believes that Jonathan Isaac has the potential to be the best defensive player in the NBA. That's how good I think he can be. I think he's so disruptive. Like, you look at what Ben Simmons is doing right now, I think most people would agree on the perimeter. Ben Simmons is the best defensive player in the NBA for sure. I think that's what the potential of Jonathan Isaac is like. He's so disruptive. He's so long. He's so athletic, and he's shown flashes and glimpses of his stellar defense And then finally, you guys mentioned him. It's Mo Bamba. I liked Mo Bamba a lot before the draft. He's super long. He's super athletic. He put weight on his body, he was very thin when he came out. And I don't think he's been bad at basketball when he's in his limited opportunity when he's been able to play for the Magic. He's not looked like a guy who doesn't belong. He's just not gotten that kind of opportunity. I remember when he was coming out in the draft, people compared him to Rudy Gobert because of his length and athleticism. They thought he could be that dominant of a defensive player. Well, now the Magic just cleared the books, and they've got a lot of young talent. Like, I liked Chuma Okeke at Auburn. I thought he was tough. He was pretty nice in the NCAA tournament and everything, so I think he's another guy that could fit. Never being the biggest Cole Anthony fan, but he was one of the top players in high school for a reason, so he's got a lot of talent. So now the Magic have a lot of young talent. They're going to be a fun team to watch because I think a few of these guys are going to be household good players by the end of the next couple years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing I would add, though, that we haven't talked about, too, is another player they just got in a trade, which is R.J. Hampton, who can definitely make some noise, and is a very fun player to watch. He's a pretty flashy player, very young. So I would say two guys that I'm very curious. I think Fultz, kind of this season, if he stays healthy, he's kind of making a name for himself already. But I'm very curious if Cole Anthony or R.J. Hampton, one of those two, can kind of make the step up and complement Fultz on that backcourt. I'm very curious how those two play out.
And then to add to that, like, some of the guys they got are actually like pretty solid, just like veteran presence that are like gel players in my opinion, like Gary Harris and like Otto Porter. Like, they're not going to need to take. They're not like Melo or another guy who needs the ball in their hand. Like, they can play off ball and have these other young guys like, be the playmakers and have high usage rates while they're there for defense, and they can hit they'll hit open jumpers and stuff like that. So like, it's like a pretty good gel and like scheme build in my eyes in that sense.
Yeah, I think Otto Porter's biggest problem in every stop he's been is the fact that he's always paid like a max player, even though he's something less than. But the thing with Otto Porter is that he shoots. He can shoot it really well, making him a solid fit with anyone. And I think that when you have Markelle Fultz, who's been a struggling shooter, Jonathan Isaac was really turning a corner with his shooting before he got hurt. And R.J. Hampton, who's an explosive athlete, not the best shooter. Cole Anthony, who's struggled with his jump shot. I think having a consistent shooter like Otto Porter is a good fit for them. And I'm excited to see how the Magic develop. I think it's going to be super interesting to observe.
Yeah, the only other thing I would just add then is I think one thing with Fultz too is just from Philly to the Magic, regardless of how he plays, I think he's just comfortable there, which is such a big thing for his career because of just getting absolutely Philly fans are just going after him, and I just think that sucked, and I'm happy for the man.
Definitely. Right, that's a tough town for him to be less than. Yeah. So I think we've kind of hit on the Orlando Magic. So there were some